Hi, this is Keiko from Shoe Space, Brooklyn Shoe Space. Um, we were just talking with Jeff from Jitterbug Boy, and the connection was lost. He is back on, so I am going to him. Sorry about that. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Hey, I can hear you.
I don't know what
Hi.
happened. Sorry if that
Yeah,
was
I
me.
can't see your photo though, or picture. Can you see me?
I can totally see you.
Oh.
That's
It,
so
it,
weird.
it's not doing the split screen thing.
Oh, really? It is here.
It is
That's
there.
yeah.
All right. Well, if everybody else can see, I think it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, is that all right? I mean, right? Worth the wait, everybody's saying. Yes.
Oh,
Thank you so
good. So
much
they can
for
see
being
me
so
now.
patient. I
Yeah,
can't,
sorry about that.
yeah, I
Mhm.
can't see you, but I saw you before. As long as we
Oh,
can hear you, I think it's okay.
it sounds like people are saying they can see us both. So, yep,
Yes, I think
excellent.
it's just me. Don't worry about it.
Okay,
Yeah,
totally don't know when I cut out, so
yeah, no,
don't know
it's
what I heard.
okay. It's okay. Yeah, what would you say if you had unlimited resource and you know what? Before I have all the questions, there was somebody who asked if you're taking interns at the moment, or is it only for people who are ready to jump in and work, like fully? Oh, hold on. Didn't work, seems like. Oh, sorry guys. Jitterbug boy. Okay, I'm adding. Suggestions for sources of materials and hardware. Oh, hi, I can see you now.
Okay, sorry. Can you?
Sorry
Hey,
about
sorry. I'm standing right next to the modem now, just in case it's
it. Yeah,
my fault.
no, no
Yeah, as
worries.
far as apprentices, generally, but
Uh-huh,
obviously not right now because things
right,
are a little bit messed up.
right, right. No, I understand. Somebody else asked
Mhm.
suggestions for sources of materials and hardware. Do you source globally? Do you have a local shop?
We're lucky in Toronto we have National Shoe here where we can get a lot of the basics. We also source some stuff from, like, we got catalogs from New York, from like uh, Ohio, or in Chicago, Ohio Bag, and then like Axelrod and stuff there, and a bunch of places I'm not remembering. Fortunately, in working in film, they are really good for materials as well. So often we'll come across new
Okay.
suppliers that way by a buyer with a film saying, "Hey, have you heard of this company or that company?" So
Oh, that's great.
it's
And
yeah.
when you work with do you all these companies, the film production or theater production or companies, do you have a little bit of design input as well, or is it a lot of collaboration or free reign, or what would you say?
It really depends on the project and the
Mm-hmm.
designer. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there'll always be a costume designer saying what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Some designers are really collaborative by nature, and they just like
Mm-hmm.
to see what we can come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And others are very set in, this is what we want it to be, this historical boot as accurate as possible. But yeah, it really depends on the situation, because sometimes we'll do historical things, sometimes we'll do contemporary things that just happen to be really like stunt heavy. Sometimes we'll do the fantastical stuff like superhero things. So
Yeah.
it really depends. And there are a lot of designers who we've worked with many times over the years.
Uh-huh.
So those collaborations tend to have a little bit more, we can have a little bit more input.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it really depends on the situation, on who the designer is, what the project is. But yeah, usually there's at least a little bit of a thumbprint that we're able to put in on a project.
Oh, great. What's your favorite shoe that you've made so far in this shoemaking career?
It's really hard to say. Like
Yeah.
the one that always jumps to mind was one of the first films, because we did pretty much exclusively theater and circus for the first like 7 or 8 years of operations. And I really wanted to wait to get into film till I felt I was good enough, because I really didn't feel my abilities were tight enough. I didn't feel my shoes were clean enough. I didn't feel I could produce quickly enough for the film world. And then totally by weird luck, we ended up doing a film for a costume designer named Eiko Ishioka from Japan, obviously, who
Mhm.
has always been a huge inspiration as far as a designer to me.
Mm.
The film was called Mirror Mirror. It was the Snow White
Okay.
story, directed by Tarsem Singh, and Julia Roberts was the evil
Yeah.
queen or whoever she
Yeah.
was. So, uh, and like Eiko is the reason I got into design to begin with. I saw
Oh.
Bram Stoker's Dracula was the film that she did when I was like 18. I saw it in
Uh-huh.
theater.
Uh-huh.
And that was the first time I actually really recognized that design was a thing
Yeah.
and really fell in love with that. And
Yeah.
that's what inspired me to get
Pursue.
into
Yeah.
design,
Yeah.
yeah. And which eventually led into indirectly, but kind of directly led me into shoes as well. So
Yeah.
we worked on a film of hers called Mirror Mirror,
Uh-huh.
and she was amazing and so collaborative. And like being in New York City, being able to sit down with this woman who is the reason I pursued
Got
this
it.
lifestyle,
Yeah.
and indirectly what led me into shoes. Being
Uh-huh.
able to collaborate on boots and shoes with her was amazing. So there's one particular pair, uh, Army Hammer is the name of the actor who was wearing them. And, oh, I'll send you a photo or something at some point. But they were these like
Yeah, on Instagram.
Trapunto leather boots. Yeah, I'll
Uh-huh.
post on Instagram later and just say,
Yeah.
hey, these are the boots I was talking about. But
Yeah.
yeah, they were all like done in black Trapunto with this, yeah, like this 3D pattern. So they were kind of a period boot, kind of modern and kind of fantastical all at the
Ah.
same time.
Uh-huh.
And that's definitely one of my favorites, probably in the top
Favorites.
three.
That is so great. And the
Yeah, there was also
timeline, sorry, keep on going.
no, go ahead. No.
Timeline for making all these shoes seemed so quick. So,
It really is.
yeah, is there like room for error at all, or some sort of, not error. I don't mean to say that you
Yeah.
sometimes have errors, but
Oh no, I
what
have
what
errors all the time.
what if, is there a moment when you're like, okay, the fit is not great? Do you just kind of adjust it a little bit? How do you deal with little issues like that, like problem solving?
Often we are working on crazy timelines where we're turning
Yeah,
off, we're turning over shoes in 3 days
yeah,
regularly and
yeah.
sending them off to England. We start things on Monday, they're in fitting the following Monday in England type of thing.
Wow,
So
yeah.
we kind of do that, but you always kind of brace yourself that they're not going to work perfectly. So you just make sure everything is still on hand, your patterns are still out, and then in 3 days, 2 days, if you're really rushed, you can crank out another pair. So because shoes are so particular to the person wearing them.
Yeah,
And so many things when you're working with other people's measurements, you've never met the actor. There is a lot of guesswork that just has to go in. I'm pretty good at guessing, but
yeah.
still, like,
Do,
probably 10%, probably less than 10% now, but 5% of the time, things just don't work. And we have to
right.
be ready to be able to redo it and just get it out
Wow.
there.
So do you really have
Yeah,
to trust that person who's going to measure for you if there's any foot problems or any issues, you have
yes,
to ask them to let you know ahead and everything.
totally.
Yeah.
And there's no greater joy than getting an order that involves an actor we've worked with before.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's
So
like, okay, we've gone through
we
this
know
process.
him
Okay,
or we
yeah.
know her.
Eddie Redmayne, we have his last up there. Let's pull him down. Let's get it there's a
Okay.
lot of actors now that yeah,
You've
we're
done it
able
for
to,
years. Yeah. You
yeah.
you built
So
like a
that makes life
library.
easier.
Yeah,
Yeah. But there's
absolutely.
always, you're always taking risks. You're always trying to figure out what the best way is for people that you've never met before, or maybe you've met and they're doing, maybe they were in an 18th century period piece last time and they're an action hero now. So you're building things completely differently anyway. So there's always
Something.
guesswork,
Sometime.
development,
Right.
engineering. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then there's, I guess, rehearsals, and I wasn't sure if you have like a little bit of time to remake
It depends on
after
the
fitting.
situation.
Right.
Yeah. Like often when you first start off, there's a little bit of time when they're in development, but there always gets to be a point where things suddenly,
You need it tomorrow. Yeah.
yeah, things go crazy on every single film we've ever worked on. So it'll seem all really nicely organized. you'll get your lead actor's shoes all done and beautiful, and then there'll be a last minute change, and oh, by the way, now he's in this other outfit, and you do something, knee high in black that laces up that we can have by Monday, and that type of thing.
Wow.
So there's
Wow.
always the chaos factor in film, which
Wow.
I kind of love. It drives me crazy, but I also kind of get off on that a little bit. I kind
Right.
of really like that.
The
So
adrenaline. Yeah.
yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Wow, that's so great. So what's your favorite leather to work with or a material? And what types of construction do you like?
Um, we always do cemented construction,
Right.
mostly just for timeline,
Mm-hmm.
and it's how we've got things. That's the way I've always worked. So that's the way we do it, and I know I can predict that. I can predict how long it'll take to sew them, get them on the last, get them out the door, and that's really important. And also for what we do, they don't need to last 10 years. They need to last
Yeah.
6 months or a year looking beautiful, and they
Mm-hmm.
often have 3 or 4 pair anyway that we're making for them. So
Mm-hmm.
leather, I really like making shoes that have a kind of tell a story. Like they already have character before they're broken in or something like that. So I
Mm-hmm.
love dealing like with oily leathers and things that already start to break down and take on a bit of form before the actor even has them on, or that really starts to let the characteristic of the boot come out within a day or two of wearing them. So I love oily
Mm-hmm.
leathers for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know if there's anything in particular material wise because we use just
About
whatever.
everything?
Yeah, pretty much. I
Yeah.
hate using Stingray, which we do use from time to time, but other than
Right.
that, we're pretty easy going.
Okay. And I
Yeah.
meant also cemented construction you were saying, but I meant like, do you do platforms? Do you like to build heel components? Do you like doing that kind of things as well?
Typically, we'll build everything from scratch, like especially, especially with film stuff. If we're doing something that even is like, I'm looking across the shop and seeing some like 17th century men's boots. So we'll build them, we'll make the soles, we'll make the heels, do everything out of leather because then we have the control if suddenly they need that pair of boots, but he needs to do stunts in them. We'll completely remake them to look identical, but using different types of EVA for the soles and for the
Wow.
heels and things. So
Oh.
I try and do everything from bottom up construction as much as we can, so we have the versatility to change
Mm-hmm.
anything that we might have to, or if they add a stuntman, or if they add, we'll
Wow.
do certain projects where we'll make the exact same pair of shoes in 5 different ways because he's got to run down the street in this
Wow.
scene. He's got to look really nice because they get a close up in this scene. He's got to hang off the outside of a plane in this scene. So everything will be built in a different manner, but all to look the
Oh.
same. So that type
Oh.
of stuff I really quite like. But
Wow.
that's the reason why I try and do as much as possible from ground up. And also, or it'll be like, oh, they have a stunt guy and he's an inch and a half too short. By building everything from scratch, we're able to
Can
control to make it look right. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Interesting. And for five of those pairs for different things, you can't combine it into one pair because no. Okay.
No,
Interesting.
not necessarily, because it'll
Right.
be something like, especially when you get into the action stuff, the
Yeah.
really stunt heavy stuff, what works for, say, climbing up a
Yeah.
cliff face isn't going to work for when they have to jump out a window and land on the concrete. Like it's going to be things that are so
Oh,
specific to what they need
right.
to do.
That's
Or
so
if you're doing
interesting.
like, yeah, you do a superhero thing and yeah, maybe their usual look is in a 4-inch platform, but then they need to do some action stuff. So you drop it down to a 2.5-inch more flexible platform, that type of thing.
Ah.
Yeah, I do enjoy doing platforms, but I think it's because I don't do most of the work right now because it's so finicky. And Anson, the guy I was talking about, the jewelry maker, is absolutely brilliant. So when we did things like, I loved doing the platforms for Rocket Man,
Yeah.
say, but I also wasn't the one actually doing them because they were so particular and they were so fussy, but he totally is brilliant for
Nailed
that
it.
type of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw
Or
the
with,
photos. It looks
yeah.
great.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks. Thank you.
Yeah. And
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 yeah,
then
for Guardian.
no, no, keep go. Go.
Oh, and for things something like Guardians of the Galaxy, we did like these really organic platforms that were such a process, and they were completely sculpted but also had to be structurally sound and also
Yeah.
look completely smooth. And yeah, so that was for Gamora for that film. So
Wow.
they were amazing, but then they order 10 more pair, and it's just like, oh my God, the first pair took so
Wow.
bloody long to do.
Wow. But
But
then by the 10th pair, I'm sure you got really quick at it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
also, yeah. Wow, that's amazing. It's so fascinating. What do
Oh,
you
good.
think you'll do in 3 to 5 years? What would you like to be doing?
I genuinely, on this day, don't know what I'll be doing 3 to 5 months from now. So I don't know. To be quite honest, this was supposed to be the last year of Jitterbug Boy. I was planning on
What?
closing down the shop. Yeah, after 15 years, I just needed to change. And because we do so many shows at once, like every single, well, other than these past 9 weeks, we always have anywhere between 15 to 20 shows on the go.
Oh, wow.
And I just got to the point where I just didn't feel that I was able to do everything well. I was able to do everything good enough and probably better than what was expected, but not up to my standards. I was working on a project last year. It's one I can't talk about much, but it's one of the new Marvel projects. And I was over there working side by side with a lot of the other departments. And the things we were able to come up with in those meetings was amazing. And I decided I want to try and do that more. So instead of being 7,000 kilometers away from a production,
Yeah, being in it.
I
Yeah.
exactly. So I decided about a year ago, maybe not quite a year ago, but that I was just going to slowly wind down the shop so that I would
Oh,
start working directly for productions and take on less work and
uh,
just do it better because I
mm,
love the work we do. I'm absolutely thrilled with what we're able to produce here, but it just
uh-huh.
gets a lot. And I was burnt out and I was just tired from what
Yeah.
we were talking about of constantly turning things over in
Yeah.
3 days. And I just decided, no, this is it. It's time to, burn
Wow.
it all down and to move on to the next stage.
Do you feel like this
And
quarantine really helped you to kind of solidify your thoughts as well? Or,
it made me completely change my mind, and it's made me decide to keep the business going
yeah.
because there's so much uncertainty in the world. And I look around at all these amazing craftspeople who have helped me build this company over the years, and they're all out of work right now.
Yeah.
And when things gear up, they're going to need the work.
Yeah.
And as exhausted and frustrating as running this business is, I owe it to them to keep it going. They
Right.
need the work. They're not going to be able to find work elsewhere. So if I
Right.
can keep the shop going,
Yeah.
keep kind of status quo and get people working. And
Ma-
also on the practical side as well, the nobody knows when theater and film is going to kick back in. So there's so much
Right.
uncertainty. I'm
Uncertainty.
better off, yeah, just being
Yeah.
here.
And
So
but
so
also I feel like, with you telling everybody that this is the direction I want to go to, and the
mhm.
shop can kind of not, it won't run on its own. You still have to somehow, manage it. But I feel like there's a way to slow down a little bit and also do what you wanted to do eventually, you
I
know.
think so. I think so. So it's almost like an in-between thing where I'll probably be pickier about the work that we bring in
Hmm.
instead of just bringing in everything, saying yes to everything. Already we're going to be, I know we're going to be operating with a much smaller team. So as a result, it's a drag because I would love to keep everyone here, but it's just not the reality of the situation. So we're probably, when we are back, I've already hired back, I think, 10 people. I'm hoping to maybe get a couple more in.
Hmm.
Uh, but so yeah, we're going to be by nature a smaller shop. So hopefully it'll mean we can be more particular about the shops, and it might free me up to actually be able to go and collaborate more with shows.
Yeah.
Because I, I really feel like we're an island unto ourselves, which is really good a
Yeah.
lot of the times, but I
Yeah.
also really miss the one-on-one and the amount of things I'm able to solve when I'm dealing with people directly and I'm
Directly.
trying,
Yeah.
yeah, it makes such a huge difference.
Yes.
And so, yeah, so I don't know. In 3 to 5 years, I hope to still be here. It'll
Yeah.
depend if the building is still here, honestly, because I'm sure it's the same in Brooklyn, but studio space is so hard to find in Toronto.
Right.
And when this place goes, know
Oh,
what
yes.
I'll be able to do. So
Right.
hopefully the landlord keeps the place for quite a long time. So hopefully
Yeah.
in 3 to 5 years, I'll still be talking to you from here. But if not,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'll be in England or Australia working on shows one-on-one with people. I don't know. There's so much uncertainty in life, but I also kind of came through into this always through uncertainty. So
Right.
just kind of go with it,
All
right? See what
right.
happens.
So yes, there's somebody who says, okay, I can't read the person's name. Hi,
Mm.
I'm a costume designer in both theater and film as well, and have known Jeff for many, many years. I wanted to say that as a fellow craftsperson, he is admired and revealed in our world. Yoo-hoo!
Oh, oh, that's sweet. Yeah, who's
Oh,
that? Did they say? Oh, you missed.
that's good. That's great.
Yeah.
What's your favorite tool in your shop? You feel like this is like one tool that you like, you adore, you use all the time, or something?
I'll 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 take you over to my table because I actually happen to be organizing my tools, so
Yeah.
that might help me decide. I don't know. Um I've got probably two. The practical favorite is you know my lasting pliers I love because
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and change that. These come from Minky, and they really, I've worked with them so long, they're just an extension of my hand.
Your
And
hands.
so more than anything, this is what I use often. If, if I had to choose favorite tools, sorry, just give me a sec.
Oh,
I
so,
would say both are scissors. Uh,
uh-huh.
and completely for sentimental reasons.
One
I
is,
don't use fabric very often, but
yeah,
these are my grandmother's fabric shears,
shears. Oh,
and
nice. It's big.
she's she's been a big influence on my life.
Yeah.
And every time I use them, I think of her, and as a result, they're probably one of my favorite. And likewise, I just again pair of scissors.
It looks like hair
They're
hair cutting scissors. No,
they
it's
are
not.
hair
What?
cutting
Oh,
scissors.
they are?
Yeah, yeah. My grandfather
Uh-huh.
uh, was a barber,
Oh,
and we recently uncovered a bunch of his hair cutting scissors. I just use
tools.
them to trim threads, and they're
They're
great. And they
they're
again
sharp.
just yeah. And my grandparents were both such a huge influence on my
Yeah.
life. They're just really you know j- everything I learned about being a good person came from them. So I just love having their tools to use every day
Yeah.
and not think too much of it when I pick them up, but at the same time, just
It
think of
fits
them
in
and
your hands really well, it seems like.
yeah,
And
it
like it
feels really
works really
natural.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
And so,
fantastic.
yeah, whenever I use them, I think of my grandma and grandpa Feldman, and just, neither were shoe people. No one in my family is shoe people. I came
But
into
they're
it
all,
on my
they
own.
work with their hands. So there's something in the blood, I think.
Yeah, and they're both kind of people who always made the most of the situation they were in, and you know, both came to Canada as immigrants and built a life here and worked really
Right.
hard. And so,
Right.
so much of that is what that part of me I really credit to them. So
Right.
I like just having bits of memories of them. My
That's
grandfather
wonderful.
passed away a few years ago. My grandmother
Oh,
just passed away last year. So
oh,
it's just nice to
that's
have those
good.
bits of them.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes,
not the most
definitely.
practical tools, but they mean something. So
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing.
yeah, no
Um,
problem.
and this person actually, sorry, the same person says, "Oh, it's Lynette, and I'm not a costume designer, but a builder." Okay,
Hmm.
cool. So
Oh,
the
I know
person
Lynette.
who commented and thanked you before was a builder. Maybe you know her. I don't know the world, but
Yes, I think it's Lynette out in Vancouver. In which case, hi Lynette.
yeah, that's cool. So what would be your ideal client in the future? Do you feel bigger companies? Is it theater? Would it be custom? Would it be
I've never been into custom. I
no?
really like the performance stuff. Like
Mhm.
I like the arts because you're always dealing with two different people, the person that's wearing the thing and the person who cares about what it looks like,
Yeah.
and then finding the mix. So I really like that dynamic in making,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
as opposed to just doing customs. And also just, you make a pair of boots I made, I probably spent 32 hours on, you know, film are used to paying that type of price and have the respect for handmade stuff. When you do one-off stuff with individual clients, they don't necessarily understand the process and don't understand why something would cost
So
an
much. Yeah.
exorbitant amount of money. Yeah. And so that's why I stick kind of with film and stuff. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. Like I'm really, really, really blessed in that we regularly work with a lot of the best costume designers on the planet.
Yeah.
And I've been able to build these friendships and these relationships with these costume designers. So whenever they come, uh, whenever they come forth, it's always exciting to see what they have in mind. Like they're costume designers like Colleen Atwood, who we work with all the time, who always brings an interesting project. There's Sonia Hayes. Uh, we're just before the lockdown. There's a designer, Maya Rubio, who we've worked with quite a few times, and she's a delight to work with, but always does these really unusual projects. And it was a project that was so exciting and so interesting to dig into.
Yeah.
She's the same. Did you see Jojo Rabbit,
Mm-hmm.
the film a few
Mm-hmm.
months ago that came out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she designed that. So we made those shoes, those
Mm-hmm.
Scarlett Johansson shoes that get a lot of, as well as a bunch of other things for Maya's for that film. And so whenever she has a new project, it's like, oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, we're really blessed. I don't know, like we're already doing so many things that go so far beyond my wildest dreams of what
Uh-huh.
we were going to do that, yeah, I don't know. I
And
genuinely
you're
don't know.
and you're open to all the challenges, it seems like.
Yeah, it
Great.
feels like.
Yeah. That's so great. There's one more question from a viewer. Wally Soptical asks, hello, I have a question regarding design. Do you use a software or just drawing by
Just
hand?
drawing.
Drawing by
Yeah,
hand.
just completely drawing by hand, like old school drawing by hand. Just
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a master from it just blew down onto the floor, so I'm not entirely sure what it is. But yeah, everything is done by hand. So I'll modify all the lasts, do all the patterns off the modified last, and then draft everything by hand. And that's just who I am. I'm very tactile.
Mhm.
I appreciate the time with the pencil and paper because it really gives you the opportunity to immerse yourself in the project, even if it's only for 90 minutes to
Mhm.
come up with an idea.
Mhm.
I still find computers really cold, and I have never been able to draft on it. I'm trying to learn 3D printing and 3D scanning right now during this
Oh, okay.
hiatus,
Uh-huh.
and I'm struggling with it because I am just so tactile. So yeah, I've never done anything. I do have a good friend, Nelson, well, the guy I was talking about earlier who does the
Mhm.
vegan shoes.
Mhm.
Nelson also works for a factory, does a lot of CAD stuff for factories around the world. And he will often do the computer stuff for me. And I'm fascinated by it, but I just don't know enough about it. So it's easier to get him to do it and to kind of show me bits and pieces than to try and figure it out myself because I just
Right.
don't know.
Right. Yeah, yeah. But were you thinking to do like some hardware design or something with it, or?
Yeah, what I'm starting to do just as an introductory thing, and I'm struggling a little bit, but I'm learning every day, is a friend of mine gave me a whole pile of period heels that she found in her dad's barn when she was cleaning out his barn after he
Uh-huh.
died. And there was only one pair of each, brand new. And so what I want to do is scan them in, so I have the option to 3D print these gorgeous shapes in future
Yeah.
and
Oh,
just do like an online
library.
library of heel shapes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
That's the
my idea. And then
project.
yeah, so I'd like to at least start with that. And then, there's so many options. I have used 3D printer friends of mine to do stuff like, details on the side of like space boots and things like that. And
Mhm.
uh, yeah, so I'm really fascinated by it. Use it. I would love to get more into it to see how versatile it is. Start
Yeah.
doing, decorative buckles and that type of
Yeah.
thing for period shoes, things you can't find anymore. So
Right. Yeah.
that's my hope.
That's cool. And another person, Renee Vandenberg, asks, which part of the shoemaking do you love most?
Do you know Renee? I'm thrilled that if you haven't done one of these shoe talks with Renee, he should be your next one because the man is absolutely brilliant. Like seriously, if anyone's not familiar with Renee Vandenberg in Netherlands, check him out because he's a
Yes.
friend of mine. We was chatting with him a couple of weeks ago, and he is one of the most talented people I've ever seen in the shoe world. Anyway, so
Yeah.
thanks for the question, Renee. I really like the design development side of it, the taking all of the ideas, the aesthetic the designer is after, the technical requirements of what the actor needs to do and what the story is, and combine them in. So that is, yeah. So it's not necessarily one set way, but it is that engineering or development process of taking all these ideas and combining them into one and figuring out, okay, how can we make this work and still look as beautiful as possible and still function in the way. And oh yeah, the actor, one thing with film is when the actor puts on the shoes for the first time, they need to be comfortable and they need to fit.
Yeah.
So it's finding all these things. It's like, okay, let's find a way to, make this look like a 1920s men's ankle boot, but we know he needs to run down a wet street in them. And oh yeah, he's got to be perfectly comfortable the first
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And it's just figuring out all these aspects. And that's the process I really like. I've loved actually making shoes the past
Yeah.
few weeks, having the time to do it. But it's figuring out the problems, doing all the problem solving that I really enjoy, and then seeing that, come to life type of thing.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's
Mhm.
great. There's another question. Sorry, I can't see. It's hard to see. Just finished a costume degree only to realize how much I love making shoes. Any suggestions to make that switch? Is university worth it or just work experience?
I would say I would say work experience in courses like what you do to get the hands on. I didn't ever graduate from university. I'm still one credit shy, 30 years later. So, I'm not a huge believer in higher education. I'm a much stronger believer, especially in this type of work, in getting dirty, getting hands on.
Experience.
Just, yeah, do courses. If you can't afford to do a course, just get a pair of lasts and start playing around with them. That's where I started, is having somebody say, yeah, having a little bit of a guide. I got started long before YouTube. There's a million videos, I'm sure, of how people get
Yeah.
started. Take that and then just play with it. That would
Yeah.
be, you're going to learn much more, especially if you're already working in the realm, because so much of that is about relationships. It's about people in costumes. So you're much better off working in whatever job that you are currently doing and learning shoes and cementing those relationships with people and cementing your place in
That world.
the theater world in general or the film world or whatever. And then people will get to know you, and then they'll learn that you do shoes as well. And then as opposed to, I find the biggest problem with like going to university is it takes you out of the realm for 3 years.
Context.
So
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
The real
where you
world.
can, I don't know how long an average course that you do takes, but you're better off, working in the world, taking 3 or 4 weeks off, coming and learning from you, getting the basics done, then go back, do your day job, spend your evenings playing around with shoes.
Yeah.
That to me, but that's also the way the way that my brain works. That's just how it works for me, and
Yeah.
that's what I would suggest. And there are a lot of talented people in universities. There are a lot more talented hands-on people doing the smaller individual courses. I would really recommend to people to do that type of stuff, because if you're in university, you're just going to be bogged down with the other stuff. You're not going to be active in the business, and it's really important to establish yourself in the business.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, she says, thank you. Very helpful to hear. That's great. Yeah. I feel like I've been like taking up your whole afternoon, I feel like. So I should let you go. Even though
I don't mind.
this is great.
I've been talking to myself in here for the past 9 weeks, so it's nice to actually have somebody to say.
Yeah,
No,
no,
it's good.
thank you so
I
much.
really love, I gotta say, I love what you've been doing with all these shoe talks. It's been great just seeing, like, in working in the studio here, often you feel so cut off, and
Yeah.
being able to see so much of this community and just the various aspects of what people are doing in and around shoes and leatherwork. I just have been really fascinated with the collection of people that you've been able to bring in.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for watching too. and thank you
Yeah,
for
no
being on
problem.
it with me. Yeah.
Hey, Anita, I'm
Well,
glad you
let's keep
spoke.
on keeping on and doing what you do. Great. And then we'll keep up with you on Instagram, and maybe, when this
Mhm.
opens back up, even you might be busy, you might be able to spare like 5 minutes to even catch up again to follow up and see how you're doing.
Yeah, and if
Really
I'm in
great.
Brooklyn, if the border's ever open, I'll definitely come
Yeah,
down. Yeah, one thing I will throw in, just
sure.
because
Yes.
people, I feel like there's a lot of shoe people kind of tuning into this that could be interesting. All the four projects that I've done in the past 4 or 6 weeks or whatever, I've posted every single step on both on Instagram and also on Facebook. On Facebook's a bit better because there's an individual description for each photo. So
Okay.
if anyone's interested, just check it out. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not saying this to get likes or anything. I just genuinely think it might be a good tool for people just to see, and just keep in mind anybody who, especially as beginner, this is how I do it. This isn't how it's necessarily done properly. I just do things my own way, and it's good for people to
It's good
just
to
see what I
see.
do. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
definitely. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah,
yeah, no
and let's,
problem.
yeah, thanks so much for sharing your space, your time, your stories. Yeah,
Thanks.
let's keep
Thanks
on
for taking
making.
interest. I
Yeah, let's
appreciate it.
keep on making, and I hope to see your creations and holler out in the world. That'll be great. Oh, one more thing. What's the name behind Jitterbug Boy?
It's the name of a Tom Waits song,
Oh,
and
okay. Yeah.
Tom Waits. I've always been a huge fan. His music has always been a big influence on me,
Uh-huh.
and I was going through a really rough time years ago before I started the business, where I was listening to a lot of his music. I remember saying to a friend of mine, that I was like, if I ever start a shoemaking company, it's going to be called Jitterbug
Jitterbug
Boy, which
Boy.
is one of his songs. And
All
then,
right.
interestingly, a good note to end on, many years later, about 2 or 3 years ago, we were doing a film called The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. We were doing bits and pieces for it. And then we ended up getting asked to make a pair of boots for Tom Waits,
Oh,
for his character
wow.
in that.
Full
And so,
circle.
yeah, that was like, that could have been the last pair of shoes I ever made in my life, and I would have died happy. But because we were making these boots for him for the film anyway, I ended up making a personal pair for him, had the words Jitterbug Boy laser etched onto the soles, and sent them down as
Wow.
a gift
Wow.
to him.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
great.
it is totally full circle. It's
Yeah.
kind of cool. That's
Yeah,
like
that is cool.
lifetime highlight.
Yeah. Did you take photos of those shoes before you gave it to him?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it on your
totally.
website? I'll check it out. I'll
Yeah,
check it out.
yeah, check it out. There is a photo that he sent me of him in costume, wearing the boots we made for the film, holding the other boots with Jitterbug Boy etched on the soles in his lap. And that's like, I'm sure I've got it all over my website and Instagram and all that type of stuff because, yeah, it's
I'll look
like
for
my
it
prized possession.
specifically.
It's hanging behind my desk. But yeah, check it out.
That's
It is up
awesome.
there somewhere.
All right, I'll check it out. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day. Thanks
Yeah, you
again.
too. Bye.
Okay, bye bye.